Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CEO Spot. I'm your host, Amy Walker, and today we are speaking with Robin Hatcher, expert speaking coach on how to be a dynamic speaker. So if speaking is a part of your business model and you want to see that growth in the new year, then this is definitely the place to be. Robin, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on the show with us today. Thank you for taking the time to teach our viewers.
Great, Amy. It's so great to be here. I love being here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, I know we're going to get into a lot of tips on speaking and give some great juicy nuggets. But before we do, let's let all of our viewers get to know you. So your clients love you and refer to you as a gifted speaker and brilliant coach. And you teach leaders how to connect with people in a way that's really lasting and has impact. You are a communication expert, and Robin has become a really dynamic and in-demand speaker. She's spoken for many Fortune 500 companies and big brands like Allstate and Hewlett-Packard, JetBlue, Merrill Lynch, and many, many other places. And I think that whether speaking is your primary business or it is a way for you to connect and get more business, speaking is one of the most powerful things that you can do to grow your business and establish really strong, really loyal relationships. So I'm excited. I love speaking. I'm happy that we're having this conversation. So Robin, before we jump into all the tips, everyone has a backstory. So I love hearing people's beginnings. How did you get started in the speaking world?
Wow. It's been a really long journey. I love the fact that it is a journey. And at one point I said something like, there are so many flowers along the way. And what happens is you pick a flower here, you pick a flower here, pick a flower there. And at the end of your journey or more advanced in your journey, you've got this beautiful bouquet. And that's kind of what happened to me because long story short, I started off as the least likely person to be a speaker, given the fact that my literal nickname was Shy as a child. So fast forward from being shy to being a professional actor to teaching English as a second language and realizing that there were so many opportunities, so many people like me that had a message inside of them that for whatever reason it is, whether it's a language barrier or whether it's a personality challenge of being shy, that they were not having the opportunity to let that message out and let themselves shine. And I started getting very passionate about the fact that I wanted to be the one to ease people down that road of being able to commit to who it is that they are and spreading it to the world. So from that English as a second language teaching, I started teaching and helping people communicate better, started teaching native speakers about presentation skills and public speaking and all of that. Then I became a trainer for different companies. I would go in and I would teach large groups of organizations how to speak better. I would do executive coaching and leadership. And then I started realizing that that was an exact business, that I could actually come and speak to large audiences and infect them, I like that word, infect them, or help them to bring out their best selves and communicate it strongly. And that's when I became more of a speaker, less as a trainer. And what it did was it melded all of the worlds that I was so comfortable in and was so passionate about. It melded my acting work. I also was a writer for daytime television for a while. And so it melded all of those skills that I had, the writing skills and the performance skills, and it added the value that I love, which is bringing value to the things that I do, immediate value, immediate results.
I love that. And you know what? You should keep using infection, because that is exactly what it felt like when I felt like I caught the speaking bug. It felt like somebody just injected something inside of me and it went everywhere. And all of a sudden I had this desire to get out there and to let my voice be heard. And, you know, I love the fact that you're an introvert by nature. I'm an introvert by nature as well. And so many speakers are. Everyone thinks that because we can be dynamic in front of a group, that we are just these constant extroverts, but so many of my speaker friends, we recharge alone. We are deep thinkers. We do all of our processing with, like, you know, the notepad and the pen that's always right by our side, because we're just we love that introspection. So I think that's great. Also, I taught English as a second language too. So high five to that. That's awesome. It's such a gift to be able to give people the gift of language and watch their opportunities open up. So I love that you found this extension of all of your things that you love and a place to put them all together. Okay, so we got folks listening at home who are wanting to get out there. They're wanting to speak more. They're wanting to improve their craft. What are some of the key things that emerging or growing speakers need to be focused on to be more dynamic and more effective?
Yeah, the craft is so important. So many times that we let that skip. It's like, oh, I have a message. I have something to say. There's actually a craft to speaking. It's a craft to being engagement. Your body language, your vocal tone, all of that needs to be on point. And also it needs to be the framework in creating a speech. I'm right now working with a coach on a new keynote, because I have a keynote coming up in February that I really want to knock it out of the park. And so I'm working with someone to help me craft my message. And then I'm going to have to do what I put my client through, is actually rehearse it for her and get videotaped and all of that. We never, ever stop learning. So one of the things to do is, like, yes, you have to have your message. You have to make sure your message is unique and that you are committed to your message. I said this the other day and it sort of fell out, and the person I was speaking to was really moved by it, because there's this certain commitment that you have. A lot of times we sit there and we hear messages or we hear ideas that we think would be a good idea for us to speak about. And that's all in our heads. It's all mental. And it's like, okay, that makes sense for us to speak about, but are you really connected to it emotionally? Are you committed to bringing that message to the world? And that's a different thing. When you have that commitment, your audience will know it and audience will feel it. When you're approaching a topic from an intellectual standpoint, it's like, oh, this is what is going to sell, or this is what other people are doing. You do yourself and your audience a disservice. So make sure that your topic is something that not only is, of course, yes, it has to be sellable. It has to be, people want to hear it, but it also needs to be connected to who it is that you are. You have to be able to own what you are and bring it to life.
I love that. I was speaking with a client yesterday, and we were mapping out a new platform for him and a new program and a new keynote that goes along with it. And as we were talking, he said, this is my life and my soul that I'm putting on paper right here. And I thought, that's exactly how it should be. And then your job, if you feel that level of commitment, your job is to get out of the way and let it be heard, and to stop putting the brakes on. Because I think sometimes we do put the brakes on because of fear, or because, you know, we don't feel prepared enough, or we're just making it move slower. Or on the flip side, I see people go out and give messages and I'm like, you should have practiced. Like, you got some good content there. You should have practiced. So yeah. I love that you take both sides of that so seriously, that, you know, we've got to create the message and then we have to craft the skill. I'd love to get a practical tip for what's one thing that you do to help get more speaking engagements that you think all speakers ought to be doing?
Yes. One thing is to create content and be out there and be seen. Another commitment that I made 2 or 3 years ago, which has been invaluable, is I joined the National Speakers Association. And the National Speakers Association is an association of professional speakers. And what I learned, it's like your first instinct is like, why do you want to be in a room full of people that do what you do? Isn't it a lot of competition? But it's amazing how much I learn from the people there. Not only that, but I've gotten several jobs by just being there and being seen and being in the room, and people will then refer me for a job that they may not be able to do or they may not be equipped to do. So that's a really, find an association, find a group of people, like-minded people who can help to promote you. The other thing is create a video for yourself and have it out there, and to start using some of those association lists. You can find a group of associations. There's actually an encyclopedia of associations. That's a great way. Associations is a great way for you to break into the speaking business and to speak to a large group of diverse audiences. So there are associations of like bowling professionals. There are associations. There are probably associations of sofa covers. You know, it's like, it's amazing the amount of associations that are out there, and they're often hungry for speakers because they have meetings to fill, they have conferences to fill, and they're looking for those speakers. So what I have is I have a virtual assistant who is going through and listing all of the associations, finding out when their conferences are, when their meetings are, finding out what the deadlines are to submit, and then you can just start submitting your own stuff, or your one sheet, your proposals, all of that to these associations. And what will happen is people will start. I even did cold calling at one time, and I'll go back to it. I had a list of associations and I started cold calling. The thing about cold calling and speakers and associations is they're not used to phone calls. And I was surprised at how many people were just so happy to talk to me, gave me the information. Sometimes I would leave a message on an association's voice message, and I got a call back. So it's really amazing that as a speaker, you can just get out there, and what's the harm? They say no, then you say next.
Right. Well, and you do have to be willing to pitch yourself frequently and regularly. It is part of your job as a speaker. Is, you know, I go through, speaking is something that I do in order to get in front of my clients, but my love is the coaching and consulting. Whereas some people, they love the stage. I love the coaching and consulting, the one-on-one work. And so for me, you know, I don't want to necessarily be speaking at the same volume as somebody who's speaking is their bread and butter, but I'll send out 10 pitches and I'll get 2. You know, that's just, I just know my number. I'll send out 10, I'll get 2. So if I want to speak once a quarter, then I need to be pitching, you know, 10 times a quarter, or so you figure out what your ratios are, and then you just continue to do it. Send out the pitches, and don't get your feelings hurt when they don't all say yes, because that's not going to happen. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. I always love to ask this question. When you were getting started and growing your speaking business, what's one piece of advice you wish you had had?
I think the one piece of advice is to join NSA sooner. I think join National Speakers Association sooner. The other piece of advice would be to, get help, because I was trying to do it all by myself. And it's a really difficult way to do that. So even if it's just one person, and I heard this advice recently, and I really believe it, is like, if you go on LinkedIn or you listen to podcasts and you find one person that you resonate with, how about just reach out to them and say, I would love to have a virtual coffee date with you. Can we chat, and can we share best practices? So many people have done that to me, and it's amazing how that connection will then help to inspire you to grow even faster. The other thing I would do is to watch more speaking. And every time you have an opportunity to speak, make sure you videotape yourself, no matter what it is. I did some amazing speeches way early, and yes, it's okay to speak for free at first. And one of the things that you do when you speak for free, you say, can I bring a videographer? And do I have permission to do that? Then you start to videotape yourself. Not only do you then, as you progress, have these videos that will work as a sizzle reel for you, but it also is an opportunity for you to watch yourself and to see what's landing, what's not. And don't only take video of yourself. I heard this other advice, which was brilliant. Have a camera pointed on you and have a camera pointed on your audience, or even have just an audio pointed on you and the camera pointed on your audience. And this way you get to see what's landing, you get to see their faces when it's landing, what's not landing, what's working, when they're looking bored, when they're looking this. And it's a great learning tool. So that's one of the things that two of the things that I would have loved to do earlier.
Awesome. Really good advice, especially because on your sizzle reel, people fake sizzle reels by standing on a stage and just recording themselves. And so the way people know if it's real is if you have the audience reactions in there as well, because you can't fake an audience. So,
right.
Well, I guess you could, but people might notice that they all look like your relatives. You know? That might not come across. Okay, I believe that the best leaders are always working to sharpen their skill set, and they're always working to become better themselves. What's a skill that you're working to master right now?
My biggest skill, the skill that I need to master is the marketing skill. That whole piece and asking for help. As a leader, like I said, early on, I was doing it all by myself. I took on an assistant a couple of years ago, but she's not full-time. She wasn't full-time, and I would just use her periodically. So this year now I've added a virtual assistant. So asking for help is one of the things that I have on my bucket list for this year. And that's why I have somebody doing my LinkedIn marketing strategy right now. I have someone who is helping with my keynote, and I'm going to continue to help get people to help me and support me in my journey, because you cannot do it alone. No matter how talented you are, let's not be afraid to ask for help. And the other help is to asking your friends and colleagues to support you and make you accountable. Those are some of the things that as a leader I'm constantly striving to do and striving to grow. And I am always studying. I'm always studying. And it's like I use a lot of brain science in my work, and neuro-linguistic programming is part of my skill set. And so what I love to do is continually grow there. So I will find a book a month to hone those skills and read articles in Scientific American Mind. And, and I have another thing towards the end of the year is to take another certification course on neuro leadership. So those are some of the things that I continually do to help my.
Awesome. Really cool. I just love when people stay sharp and they stay in the work of things. All right. So for our listeners who are sitting here going, I need more, I need to sharpen my skill set as a speaker, and they want to reach out and get connected with you, what's the best place for them to do that?
Starting off on my website is usually the best place. My website is www.robinhatcher, Robin with a Y, Hatcher.com. And I have resources on that site. I have some videos that you can do. I have some handouts that you can download. And I have a quiz that will tell you exactly what your actor type is, what your communication style is. And so there are a lot of resources there. And you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, which I love. And you just reach out, ask me a question, and I'll let you know what else is in the pipeline, because I am going to be starting a community soon of webinars and opportunities for you to share what your actor type is, to ask and get answered questions on your communication style and how to make it work for you and how to reach your ultimate potential, because that's what I'm all about. So you can reach out to me at any of those places.
Awesome. So thank you, Robin, so much for being here. We appreciate you and your time and your expertise. And for all of our viewers, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you give us a comment, tell us what your takeaways were from this video. And if you haven't done it yet, join us in the CEO Spot private Facebook community, where you can engage and ask questions and continue to get support from a community of like-minded entrepreneurs to help you grow this business. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day.